Hi everyone, my name's Caden and I work here at the Children's Science Center, and I'm super excited to be reading a book with you today. Today we're going to be reading Max Goes to the Zoo by Adria F. Klein and illustrated by Mernie Gallagher-Cole. Max is going to visit the zoo. He invites his friend Lily. They want to see all of the animals. Max and Lily go to see the elephants. They laugh when the elephant sprays water on its back. Max and Lily go to see the polar bears. Grrr. They laugh when a polar bear jumps into a small pond. Max and Lily go to see the giraffes. They laugh when the giraffe uses its long tongue to grab a leaf. Blup. Max and Lily go to see the monkeys. Ooh, ooh, ee, ee. They laugh when a monkey uses its tail to swing from branch to branch. Max and Lily go to see the lions. Roar! They laugh when a lion cub tries to roar. Meow. Max and Lily go to see the kangaroos. Boing, boing, boing. They laugh when a joey jumps into its mother's pouch. Max and Lily go to get a treat. They go each get a blue snow cone. They laugh as their tongues turn blue, like my shirt. Soon, it is time for Max and Lily to go home. Max and Lily had fun at the zoo. They want to come back soon and see all of the animals. The end. What was your favorite animal from the story? Mine too. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, my name is Audrey, and here at the Children's Science Center, my job is to take care of all of the animals that we have. Now, I know we just got to hear a book read to us by our friend Caden, all about animals you might find at a zoo. So here at the Children's Science Center, an animal that we have that you didn't get to hear about in the book, which happens to be one of my favorite animals, are snakes. This is one of our snakes here, and his name is X. Now, X is a corn snake, and I'll talk a little bit more about what makes him special as a corn snake in just a minute. I said that one of the things I do, and main job, is to take care of our animals. So we need to make sure that the animals here have everything that they would need to live to be happy and healthy, just like if they were found out in the wild. So can you guys think of anything that animals might need to live out in the wild, or here in a zoo or aquarium or children's science center? The one thing that I think of first is they need to have food. So it's my job to make sure that our animals all have the food they need to eat, as well as water to drink, and some of our animals, water to swim in. They also need to make sure they have air to breathe around them. Can you guys take a nice big breath? So we need to make sure we have air and our animals have air. And the last thing is to make sure they have some type of shelter, some type of thing that they can go and hide in when they're a little bit maybe scared if there's people looking at them, or if they just want to take a break from the bright lights around them. They have somewhere they can go inside. Someone who takes care of animals at a zoo, an aquarium, a place like this, is what we call someone who studies animal husbandry. You may have heard someone who studies animals called a biologist. That's someone who studies living things, bio meaning life, ologist meaning the study of. So when we particularly study the care of animals, especially in captivity, that's what we call animal husbandry. So I'm going to make sure that these animals, our snakes, our other reptiles, like our lizard, our aquariums with our fish behind me, have everything they need to live, be healthy and happy. And one of those things is playtime. We call that enrichment. So animals out in the wild have lots of space to roam and go. They encounter new things every single day. New smells, new things to touch, new things to even maybe eat. So we want to make sure that our animals have the ability to kind of interact with new stuff regularly. Just like if you guys are going to go outside and maybe run around if it's really warm out or play with a ball, we're going to give our animals items to play with. So what I have here, I'm gonna kind of move this over in front of me to the side. This is what I like to call a jungle gym for our snake. So this is so our snakes can feel some different textures. There's kind of tough wood on top. There's some smoother wood on the bottom, and so that they can work their muscles. Do you guys have muscles? Can you flex them? Show your muscles. Snakes, I like to say, are one long, big muscle tube. Because I'm noticing they're missing something that other animals, including us, have on their bodies. What do you guys think? What are they missing to help them move around? You guessed arms and legs. You're correct. Snakes do not have arms and they do not have legs, so they have to find other ways to move around. And that's where those really strong muscles come into play. We call their movement slithering. So if you guys can take your body and kind of go in a slithering S movement, that's how snakes move around. And since they don't have those arms and legs to help crawl like other mammals do, like cats and dogs and foxes and bears, they have to be able to grip onto any kind of substance or that structure that they're on. So that's where the covers their body comes into play. Now they're not covered in fur or feathers like other animals. Instead, they're covered in dry scales. If they were covered in wet scales, they'd be a fish. So those dry scales on them help them grip onto different parts around them. And their scales underneath are a little bit different than the scales on top. Their scales down here are nice and long across. They're a little more horizontal. And that gives them the ability to hold and kind of suction onto different things. So that way they can kind of climb up and slither up trees. They can slither on the ground. Or right now what X is doing is he's slithering underneath this box. He's finding a little bit of shelter, kind of hiding, going in a little where it's a little bit darker. And then he can come back up and he can climb up and around on all of these branches. You see he's kind of come out the other side. We'll move his playground around a little bit. There we go. So you can see X has made his way through this box and he's kind of curled and holding on around this structure, or his jungle gym as we like to call it. Something else you guys can see that this snake is doing is he has his tongue sticking and flickering out. Why do you guys think X here has his tongue going out so fast? Do you guys stick your tongue out that many times in a day? I wonder what he's doing. Can you guys stick your tongue out and look at the shape of it? What shape is your tongue? Let me look at mine. My tongue kind of looks rounded, kind of like an oval shape at the end. But if I look at X's tongue, and if I look at any snake's tongue, it's a different shape. It is a forked shape, so kind of like this, kind of like a little V. And that tongue is very important for them to sense the world around them. They use their tongue to actually smell. That's right, smell. Sounds kind of silly, right? What do we use to smell instead? We use our nose. They use their tongue instead to be able to sense chemicals out in the environment around them. So what they'll do is they'll take their tongue and they'll stick it outside of their mouth and they'll grab chemical scents that are in the air, those invisible chemicals that we can't see but are all around us that we can smell. They'll grab those chemicals, pull them in their mouth, and they have a special organ on the top of their mouth called a Jacobson's organ that helps them process all those chemicals. So they can tell where food sources might be, or if there are other snakes or even other predators around, so they can hide and go away from them. So that forked tongue is very special because it allows them to actually sense in two different directions. You think about it, if you close your eyes, and I want you to listen to what's around you. What do you hear? I hear some water moving behind me. I hear some movement around in different parts of the lab. And I can tell which direction those sounds are coming from based on what side I hear it louder on. So we can hear different sounds coming from different sides with our two ears. Snakes can sense where smells are coming from on two different sides of them because of that forked tongue. It's kind of similar to our ears. There we go. I also have some more play items here. I have another branch. I have this really cool crinkly paper, kind of a different texture for our snake X here to kind of explore and go around in. There you go. Now, I mentioned earlier that these guys are corn snakes. Anyone want to guess why they're called a corn snake? I'll give you a hint. It's not because they eat corn. That's not their main type of food. It's actually because they like to live around cornfields, because their prey that they find likes to live in cornfields too. What do you guys think a snake might eat that would live around a cornfield is? If you guess some type of rodent like a mouse or a rat or a vole, you are correct. These guys are carnivores, so they like to eat other animals and meat. And their main source of food are small mice and other small rodents that you'd find around cornfields or around barns and places like that. Corn snakes are actually native to Virginia, so you may have seen a snake like this, or maybe seen another snake out in the wild. They're not harmful to humans. They are not venomous, so that means if this snake were to bite me, I would not get hurt with any toxins. Instead, this snake is a constrictor snake, so you can see he's actually using those strong muscles to hold on to me right now. So when he goes to bite his prey, he'll bite with his teeth and then wrap around really tight and just hold on until that mouse or other rodent stops moving. Now, we talked earlier about how there's no arms or legs, so do you think this snake can use a fork and a knife to cut its food up? No, that would be kind of silly to see. These guys can swallow their food whole. But how are they going to do that if their head is pretty small and a mouse maybe is the size like this? How is this snake going to be able to eat that? Well, they have something special with their mouth, and I want us to do a little experiment right now. I want you to take your 2 fingers and find your jaw. It's not quite in your ear and it's not quite in your cheek. It's right in between. Now open and close. Did you feel that movement? So that movement is your jaw as a hinge. It's opening and closing. Snakes have the same ability to do that. I'm going to put X back here on his jungle gym, let him explore a little bit. So snakes have the same ability to do that. They can open and close their jaw like this, but then they can take those 2 jaw pieces that are hinged together and open them up. They can unhinge those 2 pieces of bone and allow their mouth to get really, really wide so they can swallow their prey whole. No need for a fork and knife. They'll just swallow that prey all the way down whole, and they'll digest it inside their stomach. Now, you might be wondering, well, how are they going to get food if they're not out in the wild? There's no mice running around their enclosures here. So we feed them mice once every 2 to 3 weeks. That's right, they don't need to eat every day and they don't need to eat every week. Not all animals are going to have the same eating patterns that we do because they have different ways of digesting and holding on to all of that energy and nutrients from their food. And think about it. Do you think a snake is going to come across a mouse every single day? Not all the time. Sometimes they don't even find food for over a week or over a few weeks. So they have to be able to adapt and hold on to all those nutrients in their body for a long time. So these guys will hold on to those nutrients for a couple weeks until they're ready to get another mouse. Now it looks like X here is giving us an awesome showing of how he can stretch and bend his muscles and his bones, because snakes do have bones. We call an animal with bones a vertebrate. So if you guys can take your fist like this and find your backbone, press along those spines, those bumps back there, that's our vertebrae, your spine. Snakes have the same thing. It goes all the way around, all the way down their body. Very, very long spine, and they have rib bones too, just like you do. You can find your rib bones in here. They'll use those bones and their muscles to contract and move and slither around. And as they're getting bigger, they have to do something really special with the part of their body that covers that outside, those dry scales. As they're getting bigger, their bones are growing, their muscles are growing. They need to shed their scales and shed that outer part of them. So when we get bigger, our skin grows with us, right? Sometimes we have little bits of our skin flake off. It's a little bit of dandruff that comes off, but our skin grows with us. Snakes' scales do not. They have to grow and get bigger. So I have with me a snake shed that we can see and see how long he is. So let me go grab that. So X sheds probably once every 4 to 5 weeks or so, and this is what it looks like, his scales. It's kind of thin and papery, and you can see all those scale patterns on the outside and underneath. But do you notice how there's a different color? His shed is clear, but his scales are this bright orange color. So when they shed their scales, their pigment is actually just underneath in their new scales. It's underneath, so that way it's just this clear outer covering of their shells, or of their scales. There you go, X. I'm gonna go up top and get a little bit of climbing time. So this is one of X's most recent sheds. You can see how long he is. He's over 3 feet long. Oh, very, very long. And this is one of his first sheds. Really teeny tiny. Can you guys see the difference and how big he is now compared to how big he was when he was born? So they'll shed their whole scales Now he does it every 4 to 5 weeks. When he was little, he'd probably do it every 1 or 2 weeks. He'd continue to shed as he got bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is how we keep track of how big X is getting and how big he is growing. You see how long? Keeps going, keeps going. Now, I like X for his funny color. He's bright orange, but corn snakes are actually supposed to be brown and red color. X here is a little bit different. He's an albino corn snake. That means that this color pigmentation is a little bit off. He was born this way, and he's just missing a particular pigment in his scales. So that way he turned out this bright orange, and he has bright red eyes instead of a browner colored eye. Now, do you guys think he'd do better in the wild if he was reddish and brown or this bright orange color? I'll tell you, he'll do a little bit better if he was browner and redder, because he can do what with this color he's on right now? He can camouflage. So when he's this bright orange color, he does not camouflage very well. He sticks out, and that means that anything that might want to eat a snake, a predator, could see him a lot easier. So this albino corn snake was born into captivity and will do a lot better here at the Children's Science Center than he may do out in the wild because he sticks out too much. He doesn't camouflage. All right, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching, meeting, and learning about X, our albino corn snake here. Next time you're outside, see how many different animals you can see. How many birds do you see, or any insects running around? Use your eyes to observe and count all the different animals that you can find outside. Bye, everyone.